You're back for more of Avenue 5 here on BuzzChomp, and I'm reacting to episode 6. I'm Dan Salem, and this is just a crazy, weird twist all about a space baby.
I'm Mandi.
I'm Dan.
Subscribe to
BuzzChomp.
Woo! Woo!
Leave it to this effed up group of people on the Avenue 5 to turn something amazing and miraculous and a first of its kind into something awful and terrible and the worst thing possible. A space baby was born. The first baby ever born in space. This is great. Of course, Judd is immediately jealous, and everyone is worried about the baby stealing their supplies, stealing their oxygen, because as soon as the baby's born, the ship starts beeping. Now, instead of tracking down the source of the beep, maybe determining its true nature, which they sorta did, they jumped all over the worst case scenario proposed by the former astronaut, that the beep indicated an oxygen leak. If you think there's an oxygen leak, perhaps you go check the tanks before causing a mass panic on the ship and sharing the information with everybody you know. The captain finds out, passenger liaison finds out, everybody finds out, and there's a mass panic that there's not enough oxygen, only 9 months worth. Eventually, our lead engineer goes and checks all the tanks by the end of the episode and determines that there is no leak. The beeping was caused by the ship telling them that there's a new passenger and that everything must be recalibrated. Oh, and of course that was the other option of the beep. The astronaut knew that all along. And of course, they never searched the computer to figure out what the warning symbol meant. When something starts beeping or an alarm goes off, the computer tells you what it means. Yet they're wandering around the ship trying to find the source of the beep, all caused by the little old space baby. Didn't care for the new baby's name. Of course they didn't. Didn't celebrate its birth. Barely. Yet Judd was delivering it. That was hilarious. And he was directing the mother on how to give birth to the baby, because he claimed ownership of it, because of course he did. Silly, stupid, but so funny. In the midst of this oxygen leak panic, which means that no one can breathe, everyone's being quiet. Nobody's exercising, nobody's talking loudly. They're trying to limit communication to a minimum to conserve oxygen. Now, while this is all technically true, what they really could have done was shut down parts of the ship and consolidate all of the people into a smaller area. So then they're not populating oxygen into tons and tons of ship that no one's utilizing. You know how large these ship rooms are? Most of the passengers could fit in Judd's room. Why don't you just put oxygen in his room and move everybody in there and then stop wasting oxygen on the rest of the ship? There's a lot of options here. They need to be explored because there was no oxygen link to begin with, which is why it was so funny. Add in the fact that when the lead for Judd down on Earth went to visit the president, who now resides in Buffalo, New York, she got the A-OK to get trillions of dollars to rescue them. Then she had to meet with the second president, who's actually a computer, or at least presents itself as a computer. Second president made a determination that not everybody could be saved. They had to dispose of 500 people. So the 500-person disposal plan got miscommunicated back up to the ship, wrapped in the package of loss of oxygen, and now everyone's freaking out because there's not enough oxygen and 500 people are going to get shot at the airlock. The lack of oxygen has nothing to do with the 500 people being disposed of. Everyone thinks everything's A-OK now because there's no oxygen leak, so that they don't have to get rid of people. They had to get rid of people because they were only going to pay for a ship large enough to transport the majority of them, not all of them. So they're going to send a ship out to rescue a lot of them, but not all of them, and then 500 get to stay for the rest of the trip. Because it makes sense that some of them could survive the whole journey. Maybe. Or just get rid of them. Whatever. We'll save some, but not all. It's just bizarre, but hilarious. To add egg in the face, they literally turned the rotating poop into a fancy art show. That was cool. They fired lasers and sparkles at the poop rotating and orbiting the ship and made it pretty. But it's still poop. We know anything can happen, so we had a fake oxygen leak. We have a potential for 500 people to get kicked out the airlock. We had Judd delivering a baby, the first space baby. He's not an essential personnel. And I think that if it comes to the point where they're going to have to make a decision on who to save and who not to save, he's going to have to stick around. And the fact of the matter is, the captain isn't an essential personnel either, because he's an actor, he's fake. Everyone on the bridge isn't essential. They're not real. I think of all the leads, none of them are technically essential. And so if they're going to get rid of leave non-essentials, that's most everybody. So I'd be interesting to see if anybody gets saved, and if they do, it probably won't be the people that want saving. I love that our captain is trying to fix his door, and and he's really delving into the details. I love that everyone gets sleep deprived because of the beep. Nobody has earplugs? Nobody just plays music? The beep has made everybody in the ship not sleep, and they get delirious, which is why they panic, which is why they freak out over the oxygen and the 500 deaths, but not really deaths, not really oxygen. There really isn't a problem. There was just a space baby that pretty much got ignored, and hopefully will survive. No one seems to care, and we just dismissed the mother. What happened to the father? This person entered the ship on this journey pregnant. Have they been out there for 8 weeks? Because if they haven't been out there for 8 weeks yet, then this person was always going to give birth on this cruise, which seems stupid. You wouldn't go on the cruise if you were about to give birth. If you were that close to being birthed, you wouldn't be allowed to launch up in the rocket ship. It would be bad. You can't fly in a plane during your last month or two of pregnancy. You can't fly in a rocket ship either. Yet they got taken off on this space cruise, and then several weeks later are giving birth to the first space baby. Just stupid and silly and fun. I love this show. It's hilarious and really, really out there. I'm Dan Salem. Subscribe to the BuzzChomp YouTube channel for more Avenue 5 as the rest of the season plays itself out. I really have no idea what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be hilarious and funny and a little bit raunchy and a little bit wrong, and that's what makes this show so great. Tune back in for more. Woo!
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo!